Another expert witness who testified at our hearing, Matthew Robertson of the Australian National University, co-authored with Dr. Jacob Laviv an examination of Chinese medical journal articles and found that, quote, 71 papers gave explicit descriptions of surgeons appearing to violate the dead donor rule while procuring hearts from prisoners. In plain language, the papers appear to show that the donors who were prisoners were alive at the time of surgery and were killed by transplant surgeons in the process of heart extraction, close quote. Their work, published last April in a top peer-reviewed U.S. medical journal, the American Journal of Transplantation, provided additional evidence of the People's Republic of China's egregious practices in violation of international standards, and these are, again, crimes against humanity. Robert Destro, the former Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor, testified the size and the scope of the organ harvesting and trafficking market is, his words, staggering. Mr. Speaker, we also know through open source Chinese language media that elderly, high-ranking Chinese Communist Party officials have received replacement organs from the very people they despise, like the Falun Gong, like the Uyghurs, and oppose. And there's one particular hospital, Army Hospital 301 in Beijing, that excels at this. While this still shocks me, and I know it shocks my colleagues, I cannot say it surprises me. Almost 25 years ago, I chaired a hearing, and Doug Anderson, who was sitting right here, was a part of that as part of the top staff of the committee. I chaired a human rights hearing with a Chinese security officer who testified that he and other security agents were executing patients with the doctors right there and ambulances ready to harvest their organs after the bullets were fired. Indeed, at last year's hearing, we produced a doctor who testified that he had performed one such surgery on a victim. He was forced to, he claimed, a botched execution, who began cutting. As he began cutting, discovered that the victim was in a state of shock. He wasn't dead yet. A live vivisection on a living human being. He has nightmares to this day. To combat these heinous and inhumane practices, the Stop Organ Harvesting Act of 2023, a bipartisan piece of legislation, amends the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 to require reports on forced organ harvesting and trafficking in persons for purpose of the removal of organs in foreign countries, including and especially in China. The imposition of serious sanctions on any person the president determines funds, sponsors, or otherwise facilitates forced organ harvesting or trafficking for purpose of removal of organs. And what does that mean? Civil penalties up to $250,000, and criminal penalties include a fine of up to $1 million and imprisonment for not more than 20 years or both. So we're serious about sanctioning this egregious practice. Sanctions also include blocking and prohibiting all transactions in property and interest in property, and making such persons inadmissible to the United States and ineligible to receive a visa. State-sponsored forced organ harvesting is big business for Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party, and shows absolutely no sign of abating, which is why we and the rest of the world needs to step up, particularly the democracies of this world. We must act, I say to my colleagues, we must act decisively.